Exactly. Well, what are the...
So about it.
It's all pretty shocking and horrifying, especially for the Republican Party. But what are the real questions here from your perspective, Clint?
I think it's this silliness about it's okay to just meet with Russian businessmen and there are no consequences to this.
Is it okay to use the word collusion?
Collusion. So, you know, they keep parsing this out. So does collusion mean I take or coordinate with an online persona to get Hillary Clinton's emails out, or opposition research out there? If a consultant in Florida gets the documents and hosts them online and someone points, is that collusion? The Russians know exactly how to push this to protect the principle. They're not going to go directly to Donald Trump and say, here's what I want you to do on behalf of our state. Instead, they're going to do exactly what we're seeing here, which is they're going to go all the way around the periphery to everyone in the family, everyone that's politically connected, and business interest, and try and put leverage on it.
What's of interest to Bob Mueller here?
I think what's most of interest are the connections now in the business realm. The one thing you can't hide are financial connections. And I think that's what you see him staffing out his team with. He's bringing on a lot of prosecutors with white-collar experience. I think the other thing he's going to do, and his team will naturally do, is bring these people in for interviews and see where there's inconsistency in their stories. And we see how bad that is now. How many inconsistencies have we had in 3 days just on Twitter with people in the Trump family or in the campaign?
So are they looking for connections to businesses with Putin directly, or with Russian banks, or with RT, or what?
I think all of the above. It'll be all three directions. You're going to look at influence. How was RT and these media outlets, leaked emails, social media used? You're going to look at financial connections and leverage. And I think you're going to look at these political meetings that we don't even know most of them.
And Mark Halperin, how stupid of Don Jr. I mean, I guess it runs in the family to go on Twitter when he is clearly in legal jeopardy. This time yesterday morning, everybody knew he was clearly in legal jeopardy. He goes up on Twitter again yesterday, only to be undercut by the New York Times last night because people inside his own White House, inside his own administration, are leaking on him.
Well, the president's been silent on this. He tweeted up on a lot of topics yesterday, but not on this. But you have to imagine that he and his legal team have to be trying to figure out not only who's leaking this stuff, but what else might they have. You think about who would have access to this email. The Times didn't print the email, but his lawyer didn't dispute that it exists in a long statement, as I said. So what else do they have?
People inside the organization certainly would have access to this email.
And maybe the U.S. government has it either because it was somehow intercepted or perhaps someone has turned it over. But that's a private email to a private citizen, American citizen, who now has had the New York Times characterize an email, which is really the biggest single document that has come out, I think, in this entire investigation of the potential Russia influence writ large. I mean, this is an email allegedly to a family member saying the Russian government has an effort to help your father get elected president during the campaign. And you think about, again, assume the best case for the others involved, that Don Jr. was telling the truth. He didn't tell Paul Manafort or Jared Kushner what this was about. Eventually, there's going to have to be an accounting of that meeting, and people on the Hill are talking about that, where everyone's going to have to say what happened.
Right.
And if his account is different than what he's given so far, and if there are subsequent meetings, this is as big a thing as has occurred in this entire story.
Yeah, and Mark, you've actually, since you've been on the Hill, you've spoken with several Republicans, many of whom have defended Donald Trump every step of the way. And you said even went back and defended George W. Bush every step of the way on all of these stories. But yesterday, they said something quite different, didn't they? That this was different from everything else that had gone before.
They, again, just assuming the facts that are already known, there's a lot of unease about where this could go because of the nature of the communication and because of the series of Times stories.
Yeah.
This has a different feel for some Republicans I talked to yesterday who are very concerned, and the president's silence on it is making people wonder, what is he thinking about all this? Where does he think all of this goes?
Well, Donald Trump Jr. now has an attorney. And in a statement, an attorney for the president's son dismissed the Times report, writing in full, "In my view, this is much ado about nothing. Late May and early June 2016, near the end of the 2016 Republican primaries, was an intensely busy time for Don Jr." During this busy period, Robert Goldstone contacted Don Jr. in an email and suggested that people had information concerning alleged wrongdoing by Democratic Party frontrunner Hillary Clinton in her dealings with Russia. Don Jr.'s takeaway from this communication was that someone had information potentially helpful to the campaign, and it was coming from someone he knew.
So he's saying he knew the Russian government because the email said it was coming from the Russian government.
And he did say most of their money.
Their money came from Russia.
Don Jr. had no knowledge as to what specific information, if any, would be discussed. Further, at no time was there ever any understanding or commitment that he or anyone else would find the information, whatever it turned out to be reliable, credible, or of interest, or would even survive due diligence.
That means nothing.
Why would he go?
And the meeting lasted 20 to 30 minutes. Oh, wait, that was about the same amount of time. What, Mark Halperin? What other meeting lasted about 20 or 30 minutes?
It's exactly the same length as the Loretta Lynch, Bill Clinton meeting.
Yeah.
And the accounts of that meeting have never changed from either the Lynch side or the Bill Clinton side. But people rightly want to know, was that what was this? Are they accurately portraying it? It's a long meeting, given the nature of how it's been characterized.
A
and as
long
I said,
meeting. We don't know what actually happened in the meeting. And if you look, Richard, at what was said in that statement, actually, Reince Priebus, who called all of this a nothing burger and made numerous misrepresentations on the Sunday morning show in one of his most embarrassing performances ever. If you just go back and look at it, it's just one false statement after another. This statement is actually a nothing burger because in the statement, all the lawyer's saying is, okay, yeah, so we got this email saying the Russian government had information and was going to try to defeat Hillary Clinton and get involved in this campaign, but we didn't even know if anything would come of it. We didn't know whether the blackmailing information or the colluding information was even good information.
We wanted good collusion. We weren't sure if we had it.
Two things. One is it just reinforces the historical lesson. That's always what you do at the time, and then how you react to what you do. And that's where you get into the obstructions, the perjuries, and the management of the past. The other is there's an Achilles heel here, I think, for the administration beyond the legal, which is still political. One of the areas Republicans have split since the beginning of this is over the Russian angle. And there is a large group of Republicans who are genuinely worried about the substance of Russian interference.
How do you think John McCain, how do you think Ben Sasse, how do you think Marco Rubio, how do you think, I mean, I would hope Rob Portman, how do you think Bob Corker are going to respond to Don Jr., Jared Kushner, and Donald Trump saying, well, yes, of course we got an email saying the Russians were going to try to influence this election, and of course we took the meeting. What's wrong with that?
That is one of the
How are they going to
lines.
respond to that? How are they going to respond?
That's a serious fault line there, because that changes this into not just a political legal, which is big enough. It also makes it a fundamental national security question, and it gives Republicans cover behind that to challenge the administration.
Wow.
Let's make no mistake. One other thing, Mika. Don Jr. went into that meeting. Just let's strip it down. He went into that meeting,
according to Don Jr.,
expecting help from the Russian government.
Yeah.
Stop.
Stop. Full stop.
That's why the lawyer's statement, his attorney's statement, is so misleading. Because all it says is people said they had information. Take out people and say the Kremlin said it had information, because that's really what we're talking about. And that's what Don Jr. understood clearly going into that meeting that they were talking about. But I have a question for Aki. You talked about the financial side of this, and that's what Bob Mueller is going to be looking at. And I was wondering whether all of what's happened with Don Jr. over the last 2 days, and particularly the revelation that he knew that it was the Russian government, doesn't that change things? Aren't we no longer just looking at financial dealings? Because it seems to me this is quantifiably different.
Absolutely. But you tend to build a baseline with all the hard data you can before you start going into your interviews. And what's going to happen when they go into these interviews is they're going to start saying, well, what was this transaction? What was this contact? What was this meeting about? What's ultimately going to come to is Americans need to understand that when a Russian oligarch or a Russian attorney or a person shows up at your door, they're acting as an asset of the Russian state. This isn't the United States. And I'm tired of hearing this from the Trump team that, oh, we're just new at this, we didn't know.
No,
well, if you're so new at this, then maybe you shouldn't be leading our country,
And
because this is espionage 101 out of
Manafort
Russia.
was in the meetings.
And Manafort knows it better than
Yeah.
anybody for a lot of different reasons.
There's no such
in
thing as
Ukraine.
freelancing
Look,
on their side.
right.
Nobody freelances.
I found